Trevor Strnad with the Black Dahlia murder, chilling on Backstage Access, where the real show begins.
Hey, this is Chris with Backstage Access, and I am super stoked to have Trevor from the Black Dahlia murder here with us today to fill us in on all the latest with the upcoming album Nightbringers. Welcome, Trevor. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. We do appreciate it.
Oh, no, thanks for having me.
Sure. So before we talk about the new record, I just wanted to ask you about the band's newest member, with Brandon Ellis coming on guitar last year, and just kind of catch up and see how things are going on that front.
It's been really awesome. I mean, now we've played so many shows together that it doesn't really feel like that new of a thing anymore to us. We had him come into the band kind of secretly almost. Just didn't want to announce a member change. They're met with so much negative reaction. So we wanted to kind of just low-key fool the fans for a while and let them figure it out. I think that's kind of what we've done with the last couple member changes, just try to ease them into it.
Right.
But it was awesome. I mean, he knew more than a year in advance that he was going to come play with us, so he had so much time to go over the material and then be ready. I mean, he didn't need nearly that much time because he's a very adept player. He's a very skilled musician, but basically Ryan, he knew, that he was going to quit in about a year and a half, and that was a really brotherly move for him to tell us so far in advance, so we could kind of get the wheels turning and start planning together. So it ended on a good note. We're still very close, but Brandon was his first choice to come into the band, and I think he's the perfect fit. I think he's really cut from a lot of the same cloth as Ryan as far as influences, and that was easy to see. And he's just a pro all around. So it's been fun. It's been really fun.
Good.
And then he ended up writing stuff for the album, writing some songs, which was a surprise, a pleasant surprise. We didn't know him to write music for anyone else, and time that his own songs have been on a professional album, so this is a really big moment for him, and I'm pretty excited for him.
Cool. Now let's talk about that new album coming out, Nightbringer, and it's due out October 6th. I've only heard the title track so far, but it's insane. So tell us a little about the record as a whole.
I think it's really great. I think that it's the most various album we've done so far. I think that's always one of the big goals for us, to not just be a fast band, but to have a lot of variety within the album, and songs that have a strong identity of their own. And I think that we've really done that in taken that to a new extreme with this. And I think that Brandon's a big part of it.
Okay.
A lot of creative energy. I think he brought in a lot of great ideas, some new styles that we really hadn't incorporated into the fold before, some bits of classic heavy metal, some definite rock elements in some of the songs. So, I mean, there's definitely some new stuff for us, so very cool. But it's still under the blanket of Black Dahlia murder. I think people will recognize it immediately, which is ultimately a goal of ours too, to stay that kind of a dependable band. You know what I mean?
Sure. So, bringing Brandon in, that kind of did change the whole writing dynamic for you and Brian?
I think, in Brian's case, it just lit a fire under his ass in a whole new way. You know what I mean? He was I think he maybe even felt a little threatened by the guy. He just waltzes in and writes these great songs, and he was 24 at the time, so it's damn, man, this kid is a freak. Sure. And Brian and I are the old guys in the band. I'm 36, so if that puts anything into perspective, it's very, it's cool to have young blood come in the band, to have so much enthusiasm, and they're not old bitter buttholes like me and Brian,
Now, lyrically, everything's, of course, in the genre, so it's dark and kind of eerie at times, but were there any particular themes that you were drawn to this time around for your lyrics?
I definitely, it's definitely steeped in the macabre, as you said. That's very death metal, but I wanted it to be extremely monstrous this time, and it seems like the songs lyrically that they react to the most, the fans seem to latch onto the most, are the ones that are the most out there, the most creepy, and they tell about the most sinister characters that I can come up with, you know. So I really tried to dig deep in that well and pull out some freakish characters for this one. The song Matriarch, for example, is the third song, and it's told from the perspective of a woman that's gone insane. She was trying to have a child with no success, and she eventually finds this young pregnant woman that she thinks will be the perfect mother to steal her child from. So she cuts it out in the backseat of a car. And you know, it's a definite grisly story, but one that's not without some reality.
Yeah, that's true.
Similar to some crimes that have happened recently. There's that one out in Denver. You know, so that's really a case of the world is catching up to death metal. It's getting as grisly as death metal. So soon there'll be no shock factor left whatsoever.
Yeah, I hear that. That's true. Now, what about the recording of this record? Do you guys go into the studio together, or do you do separate parts and kind of piece it all together? How does that work?
It was definitely a piecemeal experience. It's been that way with the last few records. I think just we've realized it's most comfortable for us to try to record at home.
Okay.
So we'll have people come here and track us instead of sending everybody out somewhere else. You know, 'cause it's expensive to put that many people up and feed that many people, and
Sure.
you know, it's boring as hell when it's not your time. So it's different to not be there through all the excruciation of everyone else's parts and stuff, but it's cool when it comes together at the end. But it does feel like a really long process when it's spread out between a bunch of different people, you know. In this case, we started with Ryan Williams as our old bass player. He came and oversaw the recording of the drums, all the rhythm guitars, the bass, and then Brandon tracked his solos at home by himself, which is awesome. You know, I mean, he saved us a few bucks, and you know, he's just a professional all around. You know, so it's a new level of professionality for us. And then I had a guy come out and do my vocals, Joe Sincata, and you know, recording vocals at home is highly recommended. I would say it's an intimidating thing to do in front of a lot of people.
Sure. To
sing some parts for the first time, because you got to get into this crazy mindset, and it's really hard to recreate a kind of lot. You know what I mean? You don't feel the rumble of the bass under your feet like you would on stage, and there's no crowd, and so, you know, it's kind of intimidating. So if you can be in your pajamas and in your own closet at home, you know, that kind of helps. That was definitely cool. And then ultimately, once we got everything done, we sent it to Denmark to be mixed by Jacob Hansen. Okay. And this is the first time that we've gone to a European guy to mix the record. And, you know, largely the styles that we mine are very Scandinavian, so it was, you know, kind of a natural fit and something that I think's been long overdue. Okay.
Now, you guys were out on the road this summer, the Summer Slaughter Tour with Dying Fetus. How did that go?
It was awesome. It was humongous. We played our third album, Nocturnal, in its entirety, right, and some extra stuff too. But that seems to be the fan favorite. So I mean, it was just a really, really big experience. Lots of people came out. It was very nostalgic to be there 10 years later, when it was really the tour that launched us here. You know, it was the first time we were at the top of a huge bill like that. Right. And so, you know, it's very cool to think about everything that's transpired in those 10 years. And that was the beginning of a really wild ride. And so, yeah, I'm just thankful. And, you know, it was very, very cool to walk down memory lane and see people excited about hearing some songs they haven't heard live before, or, you know, maybe did way back in the day.
Sure. Is that the first time that the band did like the whole record like that live? Was on this tour?
The first time we did Nocturnal, yeah, but we've done it with one other album before, and that was our first album on Hollowed. We did that semi-recently. But it's pretty much got to be the end of all this, though. I mean, when you put an album out every 2 years, you can't celebrate every anniversary, or we'll just be living in the past all the time too. And the focus is Nightbringers and beyond, and new music, and so. And we don't want to fall into that trap of just being some kind of nostalgia band. I think we're too young as a band to
absolutely, yeah,
to go do the Scorpion thing yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to. And I think the fans love it even more. You got to bring in the new music and just keep the creative stuff flowing for everybody.
Yeah, that's the idea. So you're not trying to rest on these kind of laurels. And you see so many bands are doing it right now, where they're playing like their hit record or whatever. Right now, but people keep asking, what about this album? What about this album? I'm like, sorry, man. We gotta worry about the present tense.
Right. Now, were you able to incorporate any of the Nightbringers music into the summer tour list?
Yeah, we played the song that's been out there, the title track, Nightbringers. We were playing it before it was even released, and the video that you saw was over the course of a couple dates. Okay. And that was relatively painless for once. We just had Vince, our buddy at Metal Blade, come out and shot us for a few days and pieced it all together. I think it looks great. It looks it's very red. It's very much in tune with the album cover. So I think that's cool to have that kind of synchronicity. And it's been getting a lot of mileage for us right now, so that's very, very exciting.
Yeah, very cool. Now, you've got some dates in Mexico coming up at the end of the week?
Yes, the guys are coming into town tomorrow to start practicing, and we have 3 shows in Mexico with Revocation. They should be really, really big. We don't get out there nearly as much as I'd like to, and yeah, I'm excited about that. Definitely.
And then you've got the fall tour coming back to the States October?
Yeah, it starts October 6th. That's the day the album launches.
Okay.
So we're going out October 6th with Suffocation, Necrot, Decrepit Birth, Exhumed is on a few dates. So it's a very stacked bill of bands that I really like. So that's exciting for me.
Okay, and on this leg of the tour, you're not doing the whole Nocturnal album. This is going to be a Nightbringers focus.
No, yeah, we'll be back to normal, back to the best of stuff. But yeah, we'll be playing a bit more Nightbringer songs because by then it'll be out, and the 3 preview songs will have been out for a while. So we'll definitely at least play those 3 songs. Okay,
cool. Now, what first got you into extreme metal?
It started, I guess, with my obsession with the macabre when I was young.
Okay.
I guess horror movies led me there. Role-playing led me there. I just saw parallels between the artworks, kind of, and themes, and I was like, wow, there's music that talks about skeletons and stuff. I was like, this is it. This is definitely it. So, it started with the basic metal, the Big Four and Pantera, Sepultura, and stuff like that.
Sure.
But shortly after that, I heard Suffocation's Pierce from Within. That was my first death metal record I ever got. And it scared the hell out of me, honestly. At first, I was like, wow. If hell, at that point I was still unsure about religion and my place in the universe and things, and I thought, man, if hell is real, I'm definitely securing my spot there with this album. So it was heavy, but it's still my favorite album, and I don't know, like I said, I'm a big into the macabre, so it started for me with all the gore-centric bands.
Okay.
Like Cannibal Corpse and Broken Hope, and I think Cannibal Corpse probably lyrical influence on me, just the way that they tell a small story in 3 minutes, that comic strip style approach, that definitely rubbed off on me.
Right. Now, in addition to the band, you've also been having a monthly column on Metal Injection, and you get to share some of your love for metal and give some recommendations. How did you first get involved with that?
It was an idea by our publicist at Metal Blade. Something that would, that would be positive for the band, but also show, how much I care about the scene. because I'm already, buying tons of records all the time, and like that's just my thing. I just collect and always hunt for new bands and stuff, and I just didn't see a lot of the bands I like being talked about in any facet online. So I thought there was a real hole for especially brutal death metal to be represented. So yeah, it's been really fun. It's been really big. It feels good to get. They tell me that, there's 10,000 hits or something on it every month. So to get a really small band out there and get 10,000 different pairs of eyes on it, that's not a small feat. That's pretty cool.
Sure. And from a fan perspective, I think, people always kind of want to get inside the band and kind of, know what you're into, know what you're listening to, and know what you're checking out as well.
Yeah, so I think that's cool. It's been beneficial for the band. It's been, it's been a way to give something back to the scene that I love so much and that's done so much for me,
Absolutely.
It's a real thing.
Absolutely. Now, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. We do really appreciate it. I know that everybody's looking forward to the release of Nightbringers because it's going to be sick, and everything that's yet to come with the fall tour. Best of luck.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.